232 days after the journey began, the Audi MLS Cup Playoffs are coming into focus. 8 teams are in, 4 more are TBD. The Supporters' Shield is on the line too. Will it be a third in 6 years for the Red Bulls? Will Atlanta win their first piece of silverware? Soccer Sunday is here and it's a doozy. Everything you need to know starting now. Today, Audi Field opens its doors until 2019. DC United aren't in the playoffs, not yet anyway, but that could change today in the district where Wayne Rooney's taken the black and red from the basement to the brink of a playoff berth. NYCFC are in town for a potential knockout round preview as Eastern Conference gets us rolling at 3 p.m. Eastern. Over on ESPN, the Supporters' Shield is in the balance as Atlanta hosts the Fire. And let's go out west. FC Dallas can wrap up the top seed today at Toyota Stadium against Sporting Kansas City. They're desperate to avoid a 5th straight season of knockaround, but the big game, that one goes down in Minnesota. The Galaxy, the Loons, Zlatan on ESPN, 3 p.m. Eastern. Check that one out. Got so much to talk about today. 4 hours of action coming your way. Welcome to MLS Matchday Central. It's an extra special Soccer Sunday, and I thank you for spending it here with us. I'm Andrew Wiebe, with me, Caitlin Carr, Matt Doyle, Bobby Warshaw, and guys, today is all about one thing and one thing only, that little X every team wants next to their name in time for Halloween. 8 teams are already in. They'll have at least a chance to lift the Philip F. Anschutz Trophy on December 8th. That leaves 7 more in postseason purgatory. Here's what they're planned for. 4 teams, 2 in the West, 2 in the East. They can clinch a spot today.
And DC under a little bit of pressure to actually get that spot because they're going on the road next week. And a lot of their wins have come on the road, guys, but it feels like they finally made it. We got to imagine they're going to do it, right?
4 points up right now. They haven't done it yet, though. There are 3 teams that could be out, though, today, Doyle.
There are, yeah. Vancouver, Montreal, LA Galaxy. Of the 3 of them, it feels like the Galaxy have the best shot at getting in there, but it can't quite count out Montreal just yet.
And it's fun to focus at the bottom of the playoffs to see who gets in and who gets left
Sadist.
out. But also, let's look at the top because there's a real chance that today we have a decisive Supporters' Shield winner. Red Bull New York just 1 point behind Atlanta United. Atlanta United could win it in front of 70,000 at their home stadium. That's what I'm going to be watching.
All it takes is a point, though. 1 point, Atlanta United are in CCL in 2019. So watch that very, very closely. Doyle, what are you looking for today?
That Red Bull game against Philadelphia. I think these are 2 of the better teams, 2 of the best teams in the league right now. Red Bulls have obviously proved it, but over the last 28 games, Philadelphia are 17-8-3 across all competitions, plus 17 goal differential. They've beaten this Red Bull team already this year. I think this is a really, really good team, a dark horse team that people are sleeping on. And I just want it to be clear, Philly are good because they're good. It's not because they have one guy who's doing amazing things. So somebody who, say, maybe predicted that Philly would only be good because, say, David Accam would be playing
who would do that,
at
though?
an MVP level.
Who would possibly
like, you just throw their analysis into the trash. That's what I would
We're
do.
going to start the show like that?
Yeah.
That's how we're
Well,
starting
Bobby,
the
it's
show?
okay.
You're
like
still
that?
driving the bandwagon. He pipped you to the union.
Yeah, listen, I just want to say there's one team fighting for their playoff lives today. There's one team that this is their decision day, and it's Real Salt Lake. Mm-hmm. If they win, they're in the playoffs. The Galaxy are out. Guys, RSL, everything to play for today, and that is awesome.
Okay, but like any good neutral, I'm taking the flip side of that equation, and I'm taking Zlatan. You have to watch this game at 5 p.m. Eastern. 50,000 Minnesotans, he says, that are there for him. They say that's not the full truth, but I cannot wait to see what the Dark Clouds, True North Elite, those crazy, quirky, insane, trash-talking fans have in store for Zlatan. And we got goals. My over-under on goals, 6.5, and I feel like that's super cautious. What are you putting at?
I mean, I'll take the under, given what Minnesota given what Minnesota did last week against Colorado. Like, that was one of the most listless performances of the season. I'm not super impressed with Minnesota.
It's one of those shows today, huh? It's going to be one of those shows.
Yeah, like we got to call it. We got to call it like we see it. They lost to Colorado at home.
They did.
All right, you know what? I'll take the over. Zlatan himself might score over 6.5 if Minnesota's defense plays like they did last week.
And you can say that those 50,000 aren't coming to see Zlatan, but we watched in Toronto them stand up and applaud him, and we know that fan base is for real too. So there are surely some neutrals there looking to see Zlatan play, and maybe he's going to change some minds.
I will take a black belt taekwondo style goal from Zlatan in this game. It's going to be a shootout. You can mark it down, and it's all leading forward to Decision Day presented by AT&T next week. But we've got a little poll question for you. Get on Twitter Matchday Central crew, that's us. We want to know your take. Who should be the 2018 Landon Donovan? Yes, on first reference, give the man his respect. MLS MVP award winner. We've got Zlatan in this. We've got BWP. We've got Wayne Rooney making a late run. It was Joseph Martinez's. I mean, late August, it was Joseph Martinez. We got your takes coming through. Could he lose this thing, guys?
He could. If LA go out and Zlatan dominates the next 2 games and they get into the playoffs, and Atlanta don't manage to win the Supporters' Shield and Joseph doesn't score anymore, then the scales kind of flip a little bit. But right now, Joseph is still...
There's some skepticism coming from Kalen Carr's face
right
there.
No, well, when you score 30 goals in 32 games and your team is likely going to win the Supporters' Shield, I think they will hang on and win this thing. They play Toronto FC and Chicago at home today, Toronto FC on the road. But I think this is their season. I don't think we need to overcomplicate this or diminish what Zlatan has been able to do, but this is Joseph Martinez award.
All right, we're going through all the games today, getting you ready. 11 matches here, 2-time slots coming up. Wayne Rooney, can DC United force their way into the playoffs?
Well, they got a wall
with a win, they can do it. Zlatan's impact on MLS, that's coming up as well. It's been a storybook year. I don't know what kind of story he's telling, though. We'll try to figure that out. Plus, we'll answer your questions. Get at us on Twitter. Any of our names, tweet at us, or at MLS. Of course, Decision Day coming up. AT&T's presenting that bad boy. 3:30 p.m. Eastern, that's the pregame coverage right here on MLS Matchday Central. The games go down at 4:30, 11, all at the same time. It's gonna be a fun ride. Some people are going to the playoffs. The rest of them, well, they're going to Cabo to drink fruity cocktails by the pool. Here's where the Western Conference is standing right now.
Are we going to Cabo?
I wish we were going to Cabo. 4 X's, 4 E's. 4 teams that still don't have their fate decided, although I'll say right now that Vancouver Whitecaps, they are done. That goal differential has them cooked. They're just not going to be able to get back in this thing. What stands out to you here?
I mean, it's obviously the must-win for the Galaxy. They have to go out and they have to get 6 points from their final 2 games. Otherwise, their season is over. And like this is it. Zlatan, he's been awesome this year. He's creating goals and assists at a higher rate per 90 than anyone in the history of the league. Nobody cares if you don't make the playoffs.
Yep.
Period. That's it.
You got to point out the 2 teams at the bottom of the Western Conference, still in the 5th and 6th seed, play each other today.
Yep.
A 6-point game, that's the best thing in soccer. It's the best thing in Major League Soccer. Keep an eye on RSL and Portland going off.
Yeah,
5 p.m. Eastern is the window, by the way.
We saw them go at it last week as well, and Portland just creamed them 4-1 away. So now is a chance of redemption. RSL is not going to be playing next week, so this is their playoffs. This is their last chance to be able to get in. We saw such disappointment for them falling out on the last day last year. Mm-hmm. If that happens again, is there going to be total shakeups within the organization? So a ton on the line for them.
And we got to eat some crow right here, right? Because a couple weeks ago we sat on this panel, Kalen and I, and we were like, well, who would you rather have, Zlatan or Corey Baird? Yeah. And midweek, Corey Baird freaking delivered a goal and 2 assists in a must-win game, absolutely dominated that game. And
absolutely, but the question was...
I'm going to stop you, because we're going to get to Corey Baird. Okay. Don't you worry. We're going to get to everything here. Thank you so much for staying with us. You talk about those teams at the bottom of the West trying to fight to stay in it. Well, what are the teams at the top? FC Dallas, Sporting Kansas City, going down in Frisco today at 5 p.m. Eastern. Catch this one on ESPN+. Our own Jillian Sakovits is in Frisco, where she's been taken in the festivities all week in anticipation of today's big game.
In what has been a busy week here in Frisco, Texas, the finale is here, and it is a Western Conference top-of-the-table clash as just 1 point separates Sporting Kansas City from first place FC Dallas. And there is a lot on the line for both sides here tonight. For FC Dallas, a win guarantees them a top 2 finish, and that, of course, means evading the knockout round. And there's some historical significance as well. FC Dallas would become the first team ever in Major League Soccer to finish the season with 60 or more points. As for Sporting Kansas City, while a win does not guarantee them a top 2 finish, it certainly puts them in a good position to do so before they have to face LAFC on Decision Day. And in Major League Soccer, I don't think there is a team that wants to avoid the knockout round more than SKC. They have seen 4 straight years with a knockout round elimination. That's it for now from Frisco. We will have so much more after the game from a sold-out Toyota Stadium. Guys?
Thank you so much, Jillian. You mentioned it. Sporting KC don't want to go nowhere near the knockout round. 4 straight years, 4 straight losses, the double posts against Portland. What's not in this graphic? The elephant in the room, which is in 2013, they won MLS Cup, which is why it's so disappointing that they just haven't been able to get over the hump this year.
No, they haven't yet, but they're going to. I mean, they're going to have, at the very least, they're going to have a home game in the knockout round. And it's because they're so much better in attack than they ever have been before. I think their most goals in a season was 61 back in 1996, and this year they're already up at 60 with a couple games left.
My rookie season, we were first place through most of the year. We fell off at the end of the year, and we had a knockout playoff game, and you could just feel the air lift out of the room as we were sliding down and down every single week. And I'm sure SKC feels the pressure because they know what that feels like, and they want to avoid that game at all costs.
Yeah, those are bad memories right there for Sporting Kansas City faithful. We're not showing the good stuff. That's because that's a little bit more fresh on your minds at this point. You can see the recent games for this team, Kaylin, and the big one came midweek in Vancouver. A 4-1 win after they went down 1-0. What did they show you in this game, and what have they shown you this season to make you believe that it's not a fifth straight year of going out in the knockout round?
Their depth has been the difference because they were down 1-0 on the road in Vancouver. And Vermees, who doesn't like to go to his bench very early in the match, brought on Kyrie Shelton early. They brought on Busio and he brought on Russell. All three of those guys made enormous differences in the match. They go on to win 4-1 and really changed the tide because if you look before that, the last three, they're winless. And now they're on the road. Oh no, is the slide coming again? Then you see this dramatic turnaround, 4 goals. The depth, 4 players now have over 7 goals for this team. Daniel Shalhoub is a player that I really like. I think he makes a huge difference, 22 years old, fantastic talent. So I think this team for me is the favorite in the West right now.
They're scoring goals on the wings. That's where most of the production comes from. Bobby, who would you start up top if you're Peter Vermees? Kyrie Shelton is back.
Yeah.
You got Diego Rubio. He's been scoring goals. And you have Christian Nemeth, who you traded for in the middle of the year.
Yeah, I would go with Kyrie Shelton. Kyrie Shelton's the one that gets the most out of his teammates, right? The wingers play better. The attacking midfielders play better. And one thing we don't talk about with soccer often enough is you have to be leading at the end of 90 minutes. I don't get why we always start our best players in the first minute when you need to be winning at the end. So bring Diego Rubio, the one that's better at scoring goals, on at the end. Have Kyrie Shelton set up his teammates, get everyone confidence. Then when you need that banger in the 80th, 85th, bring on the guy to do it. So start Shelton, bring on Rubio late.
All right, FC Dallas fans probably groaning at us right now. Yeah, they say it. Of course, in our home game, our opportunity to hit 60 points for the 3rd time. An MLS record, you're talking about Sporting Kansas City. What's up with that? Well, they've had some changes this year. Walker Zimmerman traded to LAFC. Mauro Diaz sold. Kellen Acosta traded to Colorado. 3 of arguably their best players, Doyle. And yet they continue to march on. Consistency has been the name of the game under Oscar Pareja.
Yeah, they've been consistently good other than last year. That said, the second half of this season, they're only 6-5-4. They're not running away. Like in the first half of the season, they were running away with the Western Conference, and they kind of hit a lull in the middle of July, and they've kind of stuck with that lull for the rest of the season. And I just want to point out, in their last 5 games, they've scored a goal from open play in only one of them, and that was against Orlando City, and that's literally the worst defense in MLS history. So they're still at the top of the West, and they still have one of the best defenses in the West. I still don't see a championship caliber attack here.
You're down on Dallas right now, but what I want to point out is they are always in it in every game. Even if they're not playing well, they have a chance to win. And I like this topic because it says something important about soccer. The way Oscar Pareja coaches that team, the intensity. When you stand next to that man and you hear him talk, you want to run through a brick wall. And there aren't many teams or many players in this league who show up with incredible intensity day in and day out. But FC Dallas does. So even when they're not playing well, even when their tactics aren't right, the intensity and discipline and focus they play with for 90 minutes because Pareja is their head coach and he puts that into his team gives them a chance at all times.
Kaylin, does it worry you that they don't have a go-to, quote-unquote, attacking player on this team?
No, it doesn't. And because I think when you look across the Western Conference, there's a lot of teams that don't have a go-to guy. Sporting Kansas City does it by committee. Seattle, I think, at times does it by committee as well. And we've seen teams be successful in the past being able to get to championship games and win them, Seattle being one of them. So I think if you have a sound defense in a crowded West, you're able to give yourself a chance.
All right. Of course, the big news in Dallas before this match went down on Saturday. National Soccer Hall of Fame, the class of 2018 inducted Brad Friedel. Commissioner Don Garber getting the red jacket. He was in there in 2016 and delayed it to honor the Hunt family. Spending so much money to get this thing built. It's beautiful. Tiffany Milbrett also in. Cindy Parvo-Cone made this induction class, and they've got all these new exhibits. It's beautiful. It looks amazing. I cannot wait to get out to Frisco and Toyota Stadium to try this thing out. I'm putting it in the corner. I just want all of you to know that. Right in the corner. Of course, this man was part of the Hall of Fame class of 2014. That's when Bob Bradley was inducted. Vancouver is in town this weekend for LAFC. They're basically out, like I said, thanks to the 1914 goal differential. Kai Kamara is suspended for this game. For LAFC, a win would do this. It would clinch a home playoff game, whether that's knockout round or otherwise. What's on the line here for Bob Bradley? Doyle, what's he looking at in this particular match?
I mean, I think with a coach like Bob Bradley, it's just about the game. You don't make it anything bigger. He's been here so many times in so many different leagues. He knows how to prepare a team for a big game, a game that has ramifications down the line, but to keep it about that game. So I'm sure all the prep was about Vancouver. That said, if they win this, they're going to host at least one game at that brand new stadium in downtown LA, and you know they want to give their fans that treat in year one.
Can this team be the best expansion team of all time?
No.
How would they do it?
I don't think so, because you look at '98 Fire, they did the double. They won MLS Cup and the US Open Cup. Credit to Bob Bradley for doing that one as well. But I just think sometimes my worry for this team is in the playoffs, because yes, they do have some players with experience, Phil Haber, Wynn, some of these guys, but we've seen this take time for other groups. Atlanta United last year lost in the first round. It took Seattle a while. Even when you look at TFC, that first year they got in the playoffs, they got smoked 3-0 in Montreal. So I think getting home games will help them in this one, but still an inexperienced side.
Here you see a little comparison side by side. That '98 Fire team, 20 wins. A little different era, though. Shootout era,
yeah.
Different era there. A win today, though, LAFC would tie the '98 Chicago Fire for points in a regular season. They're trying to do what Atlanta United could not, which was win silverware in their first year. Bob Bradley's also doing something, guys, a little bit unique. He's doing something I would call courageous, and Bobby's going to help us understand why Lee Nguyen and Benny Feilhaber have been so important and maybe played a little out of position this year in LA.
Yeah, you mentioned it. They have a double pivot going right now, guys, and their double pivot is two converted attackers. And to put that into context, if you go back through the MLS Cup champions for the last 10 years, they all have two things in common. First, they all have dominating center backs, right? Chad Marshall, guys like that. And second, they all have elite defensive midfielders. Think Ozzy Alonso, think Kyle Beckerman, Pablo Mastroeni. So what Bob Bradley's trying to do is to buck that trend. And I think it comes down to two things. And it's not tactical, because ultimately positioning, field awareness, decisions on the ball. I think Nguyen and Feilhaber are smart players, and Bob Bradley's a great coach, and he can teach them those things. But no, it's more of the innate qualities of a defensive midfielder, the parts that are ingrained into how they play. And here's the first one. Because when we think about Feilhaber and the way Lee Nguyen used to play, they get the ball on their feet and they would do awesome things. But somebody needs to win them the ball and get it to them. And here, loose ball in the middle of the field. This is Benny Feilhaber going for that loose ball first. He doesn't win it. Here comes Lee Nguyen, doesn't win the first one, doesn't win the second one. Here comes a duel, doesn't win that. And if Lee Nguyen had won that, look at all this space he could have attacked into. Ultimately, a defensive midfielder's job, or one of his jobs, is to win the duels, to regain possession, win those loose balls in the middle of the field so his team can then go attack. And here's the next one. This is the flip side of that, but this is when they do it well. Here we see Lee Nguyen, Benny Feilhaber highlighted, and look at the intensity they win this loose ball with. They win this loose ball in the middle of the field. Once they get it, then they can attack. And when you're an attacker, it's usually not your job to regain possessions like that. It's somebody else's. It is now their job. And here's the second part. Defensive transitions. Once again, when you're farther up the field and you lose the ball, it's somebody else's job to do that. But now when they're farther back, it's their job. And here we see Alexander Katai makes a pass forward, follows his pass, but watch what happens with Benny Feilhaber here. Usually when he's an attacker, he leaves that to someone else to take, but that's his job now. As a defensive midfielder, you can never switch off. You can never be the one to check out, but here we see it again, and this is Lee Nguyen doing it well. San Jose on the break, Lee Nguyen busts his butt to get back, gets involved in the tackle, gets into a good spot, wins possession, and all of a sudden LAFC has it again, and they've got one extra time on the ball. So guys, LAFC, they're playing with two attackers farther back on the field. The ceiling is high, but ultimately they need to handle these two little things well. They need to win loose balls in the middle of the field to regain possession, attack again, and they need to transition on defense well, because if you're going to try and keep the ball and you're not in tune, if you're not switched in at all times, they can go down the other way. So I would say their success comes down to those two things from the defensive midfielders.
So we've talked about ceiling on Extra Time Radio an awful lot this year, and with LAFC in the Western Conference, we've said it's at the very top of that division. They have the star players, they have the experience, they have the coaching staff, but what is the weakness here? What is the Achilles heel? What will the Vancouver Whitecaps be looking for today? What will a coach going against them in the playoffs be looking for?
You want us to send Bobby to the board again and just do that segment one more time?
That's the Mark Anthony Kaye effect, huh?
That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, Mark Anthony Kaye is part of it. Just, the stuff where Feilhaber occasionally will switch off when he's in that role is a part of it as well. They can be counterattacked on, which I'm sure Vancouver will try to do that all day, but they have a lot of guys who could win you a game. And I think that's why we all sort of feel like going into the playoffs, LAFC are in good shape.
But that shows me the one way you could lose the game.
Yeah, for sure.
And the margins are just so much smaller. Where in the course of a season, yes, it may balance out to say, look, the more we keep the ball, the more we have guys who can play a bit, we can get results. But in the playoffs, that one goal against Chicago, your season could be done.
That could be the difference. All right, we'll see with LAFC today. Their opponents, the Vancouver Whitecaps, are not out by the math, but they're basically out. This is also probably our second to last time to see Alphonso Davies in Major League Soccer. His time here was short. It was sweet. And ultimately, it was a sign to all the Canadian-American kids out there. Dream big! Dream big, boys and girls. We'll have more on Davies next Sunday ahead of a Cascadia clash against the Timbers. I think the biggest game in the West today, as far as narrative, as far as, I don't know, just entertainment value is, you won't be surprised to know, the Galaxy and Minnesota United. 50,000 Minnesotans. I've never had reason to utter that phrase before, but we do now because they're going to be packing TCF Bank Stadium for the final game on the University of Minnesota's campus before they move over to Allianz Field. The place is beautiful. They're also lighting it up tonight, so if you're in Minnesota, you want to drive by, go check out the new spot. You should absolutely do that. Zlatan got in the media before this game. That's what Zlatan does, and here's what he had to say. Quote, I owe them to come, he says of the Minnesota fans. Obviously, they don't have this crowd every home game. So I'm sure they're not coming for Minnesota. So I come and I make them enjoy. Yeah, he makes them enjoy, Doyle. So give Loons fans some hope for 2019, or, you know, since you are who you are, go ahead and dash.
No, I mean, they made one great signing this year in Darwin Quintero that, I mean, he's been worth every penny, and it shows that front office can get some things right. But they are basically the same exact team they were last year. They finished with 36 points, 70 goals conceded, a negative 23 goal differential. This year they're on 36 points, 65 goals conceded, negative 19 goal differential. If they lose these last two games, they're the same exact team as they were last year, despite adding a best 11 caliber talent.
Yep, look, it's a big offseason for them. There's no doubt about that. We'll see what happens. Adrian Heath, Manny Lagos, they got a job to do. The Galaxy, meanwhile, got a job to do too. They're trying to get in the playoffs. First and foremost, Dom Kinnear and the boys need RSL to lose. At worst, draw. If RSL win, Galaxy are done. Even then, the Galaxy still got to win in Minnesota today. Thanks to that wins tiebreaker, a draw does no good. So can the Galaxy get there, guys? Can they at least extend the drama to decision day? Please, please.
And Minnesota had won 6 of their last 8 home games. So they are good at home. And one of the key things to focus on with the Galaxy is the fact that they haven't been giving up goals at a high rate anymore. The last 3 games, only 1 goal conceded, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't do a touchscreen on the Galaxy defense. It actually doesn't look that much better. They're playing a little tighter, they're playing a 4-4-2, but there's still gaps to be exploited there, and Minnesota feels like the team to do it with Darwin Quintero getting in between the center backs and the center midfielders.
Kaylin, I went and did some research, and I wanted to see what current active MLS head coach has the most playoff victories. That is Dom Kinnear. What is Dom doing right now with this team? You have experience. You've been in that locker room.
He's changed a lot of the personnel, right? So he's made some tough decisions and benched 2 of his center backs, the most expensive players on the team. He's added Sebastian Lletget into the middle of midfield, created a nice partnership with Dos Santos. And he's brought in Boateng as well, who I think has added some pace and energy on the outside. So he's picked some Dom guys. Like when I saw Boateng come in, I was like, oh, that's like Corey Ash, you know, an energy guy that's going to be able to stretch the field and just getting back to the basics of getting behind the ball, playing honest, being simple. And look, he's been to 4 MLS Cups. He's won 2. If you were to pick any manager at this time of the year and say, look, you've got 6 years, I don't know what's going on with this roster, or you've got 6 games, I don't know what's going on with this roster, make this work. Well, he's done it. 1 goal in the last 3 games, as Bobby said. I think this team is primed not only to get in the playoffs, but similar to DC, I think if they get in, they can do some damage.
We'll see. It might be too little too late for the Galaxy. I am personally hoping that we get some drama on decision day with Zlatan, but of course, Zlatan has been the gift that keeps on giving this season for the Galaxy and Major League Soccer. As we found out, it is never boring.
The lion is hungry. Welcome to Zlatan.
Zlatan Ibrahimović! Are you serious? Come on! Welcome to Major League Soccer. Take a bow.
From the LA Galaxy, please welcome Zlatan Ibrahimović. One of the biggest names in the MLS, the LA Galaxy's Zlatan.
You wanted Zlatan? We got Zlatan here on SportsCenter.
The Lion has arrived.
Who has summoned Zlatan Ibrahimović, the greatest soccer player in the entire universe?
I thought you were supposed to be a fortune teller.
I'm also the greatest fortune teller in the entire universe. They're lucky I didn't come 10 years ago because I would be the president today. And then the people scream, we want Zlatan. And Zlatan gave them Zlatan.
Lifts it into the area. Ibra scores! That is number 500 for Zlatan Ibrahimović, and only he can get to 500 in that way.
Dear Los Angeles, you're welcome.
Hey, what's it been like for you just being in Los Angeles, going to the Kings game, being here courtside at the Lakers games? What have you thought about the city?
Feels good, feels good. Everybody makes me feel welcome. I mean, people, nice people everywhere, everybody positive. The new star of Los Angeles.
It was crazy. Like, you barely even were able to get out of the airport.
I know there is some earthquakes in Los Angeles, but this one was me stepping in Los Angeles, so.
Yeah, there's no lack of social media engagement with this guy. And of course, this week he's in the news again on Ellen with the Wild Boars, the Thai junior football team who were rescued from that flooded cave after being trapped for more than 2 weeks. They trained with Zlatan in the Galaxy as well. Now, he's got the publicity side down. He's got the production side down as well. We'll see if his teammates can help him out in Minnesota today. What sort of fireworks will we see there? Yeah, look, Zlatan. He's been the story of this season in so many ways. Sum it up for me. We're writing the history books in 20 years. You're just trying to pack it all into 1 year. Your thoughts, your memories, your takeaways. What has Zlatan meant to Major League Soccer?
It's been the single best single season signing in MLS history, from a marketing standpoint and a production standpoint. Look, Beckham came in. There was Beckham Cam. There was all that, and a whole new interest in the league. But he didn't really do the business on the field. That team was not good for a long time. He didn't turn them around. From Zlatan the Lion signing over in Manchester that I was at, then going to LAFC and seeing his entrance, the best debut you've seen. And from the marketing, the quotes, no offense to Beckham, nowhere nearly as interesting as Zlatan Ibrahimović is. And the goals. Look at this finish.
Oh
That's in a real match.
Came with a bold statement. I don't disagree with him though. Hey, I want to look forward to what I hope his lasting impact is, and it shows players in this league to show personality, right? Yeah. It feels like we have so many guys who go out on the field on the weekend, they just play soccer, but sports are more than that, right? Sports are drama, they're personalities. Look at the NBA right now. It feels like you know those guys. And Zlatan, yeah, he's Zlatan, he's so good that he can do whatever he wants, but he shows personality away from the field with just all of his quotes, everything he does. I hope that leaves a lasting impression on players here to show you can do more than just play and you can actually be a cool person.
In some ways, this year has kind of been like Zlatan in MLS. It's kind of like when the dream became reality for so many of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody at this table might have written a book with that title, they saw things.
Can I just push back again? Like, Zlatan's been fun, and he's been, like I said, he's been really good, and he's maybe even in the MVP race. If things shake out where the Galaxy are in the playoffs and Atlanta don't win the Supporters' Shield, then he's got a claim on it. He hasn't even been the best signing in the league this year. Like we've seen great, world stars come into this league before and be productive. We've seen Beckham did it, and granted it took a year and a half, but we saw Thierry Henry do it, and his team actually made the playoffs, and the Galaxy probably aren't gonna. So I struggle to, like, he's not David Villa level.
Hold on, you slow played that. You said he's not even the best signing this year. So
yeah, it's Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney's been the best signing this year, if you look at what DC have done. But I don't want to jump too many blocks ahead. We'll get to DC in a minute.
And by the way, people who have watched this show all year that is like, what is Doyle talking about, and who is this person right here?
By the way, we put the question to you as it pertains to MVP. Who should it be this year? Go check out @MLS on Twitter. We got Zlatan in that voting, BWP, who we'll get to in just a little bit.
Zlatan did give us our KPIs, though. So
he did.
Thank you for that.
He is the KPI MVP. All right, we'll be back after this day to see what Zlatan did and what everyone else did. We've got interviews, we've got analysis, playoff scenarios for you, where the playoffs stand after week 34. There are 35 weeks in this season. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We'll be right here. Hit us up with your questions. Of course, I'm going to guarantee you we're going to be talking about Portland RSL. It's the second time in a week that we hit this one. Portland Timbers are in with a win or a draw versus RSL today. RSL are in if they win, and then, I don't know, if they tie and Galaxy lose or tie. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios, and they're all at MLSsoccer.com. You can pour through those. Needless to say, we'll have some clarity on these spots out west very, very soon. Bobby's at the touchscreen, though, because we want to dive into what happened exactly a week ago. It was a massive game for RSL. It was a massive game for Mike Petke. It was a big game for Portland, and the Claret and Cobalt, well, they fell flat.
Yeah, I went back through this game, guys, and I tried to find what Portland did well, what RSL did poorly, and how RSL can turn the tables on that. And here's what I found. Here's the biggest thing. When RSL got on the ball, they saw a lot of this, because this is what Portland works very hard to do, and that's clog the middle of the field. Put numbers central into the most important parts of the field. And here we see Kyle Beckham on the ball, can't really figure it out. He can't really find a good option. He goes wide, they lose possession, and there's a second part to this. As you keep trying to come to the middle, there's this guy for Portland, Diego Chará. He is the defensive midfielder in the league who is the best at covering the ground, the best at sniffing out passes, the best at passing blocking lanes. And if you keep on trying to come back to the middle, this is what's going to happen. At some point, he's going to pick it off, and that's what Portland want to go back the other way. How does RSL fix that? Well, they do this. When they get the ball wide, they look for these scenarios. Instead of going back towards the middle, they look for these numbers up or equal number situations. Here we see 2v2 out wide, and they've got players out wide who can ball. Corey Baird, Brooks Lennon, Jefferson Severino, regardless of who they play, if they keep the ball wide, if they go for those 2v3 or 3v2 scenarios instead of going back to the clog middle, they'll find success. And that's what we saw last time they played. This is their goal. The ball goes wide, and we had seen before, maybe Jefferson Severino would try and go back to the middle earlier in the game, but no, he keeps it wide in the 2v2, and how do you defend Jefferson Severino equal numbers? If you're not a man up, you're dead to rights there. RSL needs to find those moments. Instead of going to the clogged middle where Portland keeps all their numbers, stay wide. Do an overload out wide, get overlaps, get 1-2s out there. Guys, it was pretty clear to me what RSL did poorly last game, what Portland did well, and it's up to RSL head coach Mike Petke to figure that out and implement it today.
Pressure is on RSL. I remember decision day last year. It was heartbreaking for them. Fortunately, on Thursday, just a couple days ago, they handled business, because had they not, it would be gut check time. They got a 4-point lead. They won 4-1 against the Rebs. How much pressure are they under, Doyle?
They're still under a lot of pressure because we all know that the Galaxy are talented enough to go out there and win each of their last 2 games. Obviously less, though, because of the huge game that they had midweek. And like Bobby said, they have their stars back now. They had to play that midweek game with basically a B team, and Corey Baird, who we mentioned before, came through flying colors. He'll probably be in the starting lineup in this one, but they'll also have guys like Plata, Rusnak, and Savarino back.
But do they play the stars? Are you going to bench guys that just won 4-1 when your stars flew across the world?
It was only New England. To be fair,
only New England.
it was only New England. I mean, the Revs have been terrible on them.
Oh, man.
Well, last time they played the Stars, they lost
Terrible.
4-1.
Terrible.
So it's not, Mike Petke does not have an easy decision today to put the Stars back.
We'll see what happens there. We got lineups outies coming for you in just a little bit. As I said, Tyler Adams is in that 11 for the New York Red Bulls. I'm sure Chris Wondolowski will be in the 11 for San Jose. Wondo watch continues. He is 1 back of Landon Donovan for the all-time MLS scoring record. Gets 1 today against Colorado. He ties it. He gets 2. He breaks it. Chris Wondolowski is with us now. Chris, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going well. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so 144 goals, 145 is the record. Landon Donovan holds it, but we expect you to hold it very, very soon. And yet, I read in an interview last month that you said, quote, "It's pretty cool, but it's just kind of a number." What? It's just kind of a number, man. This is history.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It is history. For me, it's even more special that I just could be mentioned with Landon Donovan in the same sentence. But, records are being able to be broken. I know Kai Kamara, Bradley Wright-Phillips are going to be hot behind me as well.
Eventually, as I said, you will own this thing. What does it mean for you? What are you most proud of when you think about where you've gotten to, where your career has taken you now?
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. It's been a bit of a whirlwind and it's still kind of sinking in. But I think that the longevity, I think that's the biggest part of it. This has been my 14th season. I never thought I was going to make it to 10. And that's just special for me, and just being able to do it with some great teammates that I get to call friends for life now.
I made an ill-advised prediction a couple years ago that said you wouldn't get there. I will never, ever bet against you again, Chris. What's the secret to that longevity, to the productivity? So many people want to be this. So many people want to be the go-to goal scorer for a decade, and they just don't do it. How did you do it?
I actually owe you a lot of credit. I think people like you that have doubted and, kind of keep me going. I think that's always something special. But it's, to be honest, it's actually just been great teammates. I think we all have our jobs on the field, and mine happens to be staying outside the 6-yard box and try to finish goals. And, I've been able to do that and wouldn't be able to do it without some of these teammates. And so I owe a lot of credit to them.
It feels inevitable. There's just 2 games left, just one at home against Colorado today. Does it need to happen in 2018?
I definitely want it to. It's been such a crazy year. I wish there's a lot more things to be celebrating, but this definitely would, kind of give it a little bit of light, and, it'd be nice just to kind of end the year on a somewhat of a high note.
Do you have a feeling how long you want to keep doing this, Wando? Keep scoring double digits? Keep being that fox in the box?
Yeah, right now I still love it. I still love this game. I'm one of the few guys that actually loves practice. It's fun. I love being able to banter guys in the locker room. For the most part, my body's been able to hold up. I've never really needed to be the fastest or strongest guy, need those attributes. And so it's been nice to, just kind of be able to think my way out there on the field. But that being said, I think after next year, I'm definitely going to have a long internal look and talk with family and see how everything goes.
All right, man. We'll be watching today. Will you get the record? I hope for you do it at home in style.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Me too.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We're headed next to a place I expect Wando will find himself down the line. That's the newly built National Soccer Hall of Fame in Frisco, Texas. Our own Jillian Sakovich was there Saturday to get a sneak peek as 5 more, including MLS Commissioner Don Garber, entered the hall on induction weekend.
The National Soccer Hall of Fame inducted 5 new members on Saturday in its brand new home of Frisco, Texas. And among those enshrined forever was U.S. men's national team legend and current New England Revolution head coach Brad Friedel and MLS Commissioner Don Garber.
I never expected to be that emotional. I'm not really an emotional guy, but I guess the 20 years of working together to build the league, it all kind of came and hit me with this wave of emotion. It was great. Lamar Hunt was an important part of my life, not just my career. And when you have a chance to be part of something that brings you back to your roots and honor the family, to have his son induct me or introduce me, to kind of bring it all home was special.
Doesn't everyone want a red jacket in their life? Yeah. What a truly remarkable honor it is, and each and every one of us got emotional at one time, because you go through so many ups and downs in your career that when you're old enough to reflect on it, you finally realize that it's not you, it's a lot of people that come together.
Red Blazers, man, looking pretty sharp. Don Garber making his way into the hall, done so much. He's watching today, I'm sure. The Western Conference, here's your slate. 5 p.m. Eastern is the kickoff. The ESPN game is highlighted there. Minnesota, LA Galaxy. What are you guys looking for?
We've talked about Zlatan enough. I want to see if this Minnesota defense can sort of bounce back after what happened last week. There are guys on this team that are playing for jobs. They are playing for their right to be there next year when they open that beautiful new stadium.
Seattle Sounders, 10 straight years in the playoffs. What an accomplishment for them. They've been consistent. They've been very, very good, and they had some news this week that left us all in a somber mood. The Sounders celebrated their 10th straight playoff place with heavy hearts on Wednesday night, wearing black armbands to pay tribute to co-owner Paul Allen, who passed away this week at the age of 65. Allen was an icon in technology, business, and philanthropy. Among his many contributions to the world, he will be remembered for helping bring Major League Soccer to Seattle and making the Sounders a power to be reckoned with from day one. Our condolences go out to Allen's family and friends during this difficult time. Paul Allen, 1953 to 2018. What a legacy Paul Allen leaves. The Sounders in action today have already clinched their playoff spot, the 10th straight time. 10 years in MLS, 10 playoff spots. It's an amazing accomplishment. Out east, though, those games start at 3 p.m. Eastern, the ESPN game. Supporters Shield is at stake, Atlanta and the Fire. We got some news here. Andrew Carlton is into the starting lineup for the Five Stripes. The races are at the top, in the middle, and then at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, guys.
Yeah, they are. And look, it's a little bit weird for Tata to be going with Carlton, who he's barely played this year, and he benched Jeff Larentowicz. this is really out of character for the head coach, but maybe he feels like this is the one where you got to go for it. And this Fire team, you can score goals on them, so throw out an extra attacker.
It felt a little bit like benching Ibrahimović was inevitable all season as soon as they brought those guys in.
I guess
he was going to be the one left out, and credit to him for hanging on this long. But at some point, there are high-profile guys that Tata was going to try and get on the field together.
DC, New York City FC. The last game potentially at Audi Field in 2019. You know, we don't know what's going to happen here. Susanna Collins is out in the nation's capital. She spoke to DC United center back Steve Birnbaum ahead of what could be the final game there this year.
All right, Steve, last week you said that luck has been on your guys' side, but you've been pretty good at creating your own luck. During this incredible stretch you guys have had, how have you been able to do that?
I don't know. I think it's just been kind of the chemistry of the team, and obviously being at home for this long stretch is, obviously giving us that momentum that we needed and the push. The fans have been great here, and we're just really excited to be back here and have a chance to clinch a playoff spot in front of our home fans.
You guys enter this game above the playoff line, finally. Ben Olsen said that for the last 2 months, the pressure has been on you guys, but now you are the ones putting the pressure on Montreal. How does that change the mentality heading into today?
I don't know if it necessarily changes the mentality. I think it's another game that we see as a must-win. We know that if we win today, we're in the playoffs, and that's that was our goal. And then whatever happens then. But right now, we want to win this game, and we want to do it in front of our home fans. So I don't think our mentality's changed that much, but it's more of going out there and taking anything off the board for Montreal.
We can look at so many different factors surrounding this incredible run that you guys had. Obviously, the opening of this beautiful stadium, but the arrival of Wayne Rooney to this team, he has been incredible from the get-go. What has it been like for the team to be around a player of that caliber? What has it done inside the locker room, but also out on the field? Yeah,
I think it's been great. Obviously, you can see it on the field, but his chemistry with the attacking players has been, second to none in the league. So it was a very smooth transition that I don't think any of us saw coming, really. And honestly, it's fun for me to watch from the back when they do their thing up top. So it's been great, and he's a great locker room guy. He's really brought the team together, and we're gelling on the field, and that's what we need right now.
Steve Birnbaum, a V-neck guy. Just found that out. Well coiffed. This is the first stanza of their season. A lot of mileage, not a lot of wins for DC United. This was a rough way to start it. 2-7-5, 12 games on the road, 2 quote-unquote home games.
We had thought about this being a disadvantage all year, but maybe we were wrong. Maybe having all the home games at the end is a good thing. Because if soccer is a confidence game, if playing well begets playing well, all due to confidence, maybe it's good to have all those easier games at the end because you can just put a run together instead of having a confidence game at home, then you go on the road, then you lose. Maybe it's good to just have the easier games all in one where you can just get rolling.
I mean, there's certainly an argument to be made given the way that they've played, and getting Rooney has been such a big part of it. As Birnbaum said, his chemistry with the guys in the locker room, but you can see it in the field as well. Like, his superpower as a player is his ability to create immediate chemistry.
And Bobby's superpower is using
tweet.
Poop emojis, apparently. But that is where they were. That is where they were. They were in last place for 15 weeks for DC United. Then they've made almost Lazarus-like rise from the dead. 11 points from 42 to start, then 11 wins in their next 17 games. DC United rolling right up the table thanks to Wayne Rooney in large part. His impact on the team has been absolutely incredible, Kaylin. Wayne Rooney in DC, what stands out?
Well, oftentimes when you get a big-name player who comes into the locker room, whether Didier Drogba when he joined Montreal, or in my days, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, the team masseuse is suddenly around a couple extra days. The food after the match is a little bit nicer.
Let you get on the masseuse table? Yeah. That's for him. That's not for the kid.
I'm not saying I got on. I'm just saying the masseuse was around. But they got a whole new stadium. I think that really changed things. And look, his relationship, and Birnbaum referenced this as far as the understanding with the players. When you play with somebody so great, and I'll say this with Blanco, where maybe I was playing the areola role there, where it's like, you can't play like Wayne plays, but you can see a little bit of what he sees. So when he looks one direction, when you're making that run on the outside that he might be able to just slip it through a guy's legs and look somebody off to find you. And that's something that you really can't learn other than just being around a guy. And then when you see him running back and making plays like this.
This is the play of the year. That's the play of the year.
And a season-defining switch for this team.
Yeah, it's unlike anything that I think we've seen in MLS, like that play in that moment with with really the season on the line. It's not just Wayne Rooney. Like, everybody around him has played better. They got Knaus back as well. They got Hamid as well. But it does go through the number 9, Bobby.
That's my favorite thing about this season, that DC United almost lost at home to Orlando City, and now they're rolling this way. And guys, we're going to see pretty much the expected lineup from DC. The big one, Paul Arriola back. His father passed last week. He had missed 2 games. He's in at right back. Expect him to get down the line as Ulysses Segura tucks in, but then the big one is really Rooney and Lucho Acosta. Lucho Acosta makes the passes in, follows, gets it back from Rooney all day, every day. It's probably the most predictable and most useful play in Major League Soccer right now. But guys, DC has their best 11 out. If they win today, they're in.
Lucharu, Bobby. Lucharu. Repeat after me.
What
That's
did I
the
call
combination. Rooney and Acosta.
Sorry.
It's got to be catchy.
My
man.
bad.
It's got to be
My
catchy.
bad.
That's the DC United side. Help us out with the New York City side, Bobby. They've got some issues when it comes to injuries, but they do have young Herrera back in the 18.
You guys, when we put these lineups together, this is one of the ones we had no idea how it looked. This is what we have right now, but maybe Ofori goes up, maybe it's just Ring, maybe those are switched. Ring has spent time a little higher, maybe Castellanos and Amagat's going to go central.
Amagat's going to go central.
This is the point. We put this together, and it could look so many different ways, right? But the big thing, Jan Herrera on the bench, Tajori Shradi on the bench, Ben Sweat came back from national team duty, and it's Matarrita out wide. Guys, ever since Dome Trent showed up to Major League Soccer, he has tried different formations, different lineups, different styles of play, and we kind of thought as the playoffs engineered that he would find something and stick to it, and he has gone farther the other way. It's even wilder than we could have predicted. I don't know what to make of this.
Yeah, no Maxi Morales in this one, which is huge. I think the first half of the season, you could argue that he was, in the MVP race. I mean, not the MVP, but like he was at least someone who deserves a mention. There's been nobody at that level in the second half of the season for this NYCFC team. And that poop emoji, hieroglyphs you wrote in your tweet, you could reverse it and just replace a pineapple, for the England flag, and that's basically what happened to NYCFC.
So we're chisel these in the the MLS cave.
Honestly, they're 2-5-4 in their last 11 games. And like Bobby said, it's not just personnel, it's style of play. They don't build from the back anymore. They don't use the ball to disorganize the other team, and it's changed everything about them, and they're frankly not as good when they don't play that way.
Lucho Acosta, I've looked at his split stats, and you look at everything as far as a split with DC's season. Russell Knaus and Wayne Rooney came at the same time, and then Lucho Acosta absolutely blew up. 8 goals, 9 assists since then, but he doesn't have anything in the last 3 games. What's his impact been? Where has he elevated himself, Kalen, this year?
Well, in years past, I've said this time and again, where he actually used to get bullied off the field a little bit. I remember in the playoffs when they got in a couple years back, they kicked him off the pitch, and he just wasn't quite ready for the sort of physicality of the game. Now he's getting on the ball in tougher moments of matches, and he's constantly searching it out. And I think having somebody else or more pieces around him, frankly, to be able to draw some people off him has allowed him more time and space to go forward.
And it's not just that, it's someone to hold him accountable. When you're in a locker room, there's an alpha. Right, and that team for a long time, it was Lucho Acosta. He was the one that did what he wanted on the ball, off the ball, in the locker. But all of a sudden, he's no longer the alpha. There's someone else to say, hey, you're not going to win that tackle. I'm going to yell at you. You're not going to track back on defense. I'm going to yell at you. That's been Wayne Rooney's impact, is that he is now the alpha, and he can get the others to be more accountable on and off the field.
I said Wayne Rooney was going to be a hit. I said DC United were going to qualify for the playoffs. They're competing with the Montreal Impact, who just weren't able to keep pace with all those games in hand for the Black and Red. Here is the 11 for Remy Gard today. Piatti, Ameriqual. That's been a pretty good move for this team. Silva, Taider, Piet, Azira, Raitala, Camacho, Fani, Sanya, Bakari, and Evan Bush in goal for the Montreal Impact. They're probably going to fall short, guys. Probably. This is what TFC are bringing out there. Of course, no Josie Altidore. We got Jansen in there. Osorio, what a season for him, but they weren't able to make the playoffs. What's one thing that stands out to you in this game? Make it quick.
Once again, it's a makeshift back line. I don't even think that's the way they're going to line up. Toronto FC has a lot of work to do this offseason in shoring up that defense.
The answer is Michael Bradley. Everything about Toronto right now is how does Michael Bradley play?
All right, Atlanta United. Andrew Carlton, get that hype train rolling. There is no Miguel Miron. There is no Hector Villalba for Tata Martino, but there is an opportunity for the Five Stripes to make a little bit of history. They could win their first piece of silverware today, the Supporters' Shield. They've got a 1-point lead on the Red Bulls. They are dependent on the Red Bulls in this situation. They need the Red Bulls to drop points in order to get this thing done. If they get a draw, they're going to CCL, CONCACAF Champions League, next year. And, of course, Josef Martinez is trying to pick up that slack left by Miguel Almiron. What would a Supporters Shield win mean for this team, for this club?
Everything, and they have to go for it right now. They have to go these next 2 games with everything that they have because nothing is promised after that. If you look at the way they got bullied off the field by the Red Bulls and with the general health, the questions around Almiron and Villalba, you have to say the Red Bulls are the favorite in the East to go to MLS Cup. So that's not guaranteed. Then when you look past that and you hear the rumors of Tata Martino, is he going to the Mexican national team? Who's getting bought and sold in the offseason? This might look like a very different group by the time CONCACAF Champions League does come around. So if you're going to do it, it has to get done, and today's a big chance in front of 70,000.
CCL is in 2019. Today, it's the Chicago Fire. Today, they're trying to figure out how they win, how they get the job done without Miguel Almiron. And Bobby, you took a closer look at how they might try.
Yeah, and the thing about Almiron is that he's not just a normal good player, right? He's not a guy where you can say, we have other talent on our team, let's put that talent in, let's just put Barco or Gressler or Nagbe in his spot, and it's a like-for-like switch. Because what Miguel Almiron does specifically lifts this Atlanta team to the heights that they're at, and I can break it down to 2 things. The first is Atlanta's best weapon is the counterattack. Here we see the Columbus Crew are getting across into the box. They think they have a chance to score, but no, don't be silly. When you're playing against Atlanta United, Atlanta can turn it around in an instant from their own box to scoring, and that's largely because of Miguel Almiron. How fast he is, how much control he has on the ball. And then as the game is moving fast, look at this. Look how he picks up his head and finds this player that everyone else missed on the weak side. And they didn't score there, but it was a great opportunity because Miguel Almiron is so good on the counter, and it gives Atlanta an it factor. It gives them something for every other team in the league to be horrified about. And the second thing is, if we think about every word that describes the Five Stripes, relentless, energetic, aggressive. All these things are about more than just talent. That stems from Miguel Almiron and the type of player he is and the type of person he is. And here's an example. If we look here, Atlanta United is on the attack and Atlanta's right back is up. I mean, look at this big gap right here. No one's back, he's in the attack, but who covers for him? Who's the one to bust his butt to get back and ensure Dallas doesn't go on the break? It's Miguel Almiron. And Kalen, we've both been on teams where there's a star attacker and that star attacker doesn't work that hard. Yeah, he's great on the ball, but all of a sudden, when the guy that has the most talent, that makes the most money, that's probably about to get sold for a boatload of cash, when he is the one working the hardest on the team, that lifts everyone. That allows everyone to work harder. That gives everyone more confidence. Miguel Almiron's a leader. And when I think about how they replace Almiron, they're not just replacing his talent, they're replacing his leadership qualities, and I'm not sure how they do that.
Take a seat, Bobby. Lingering with
I'm fired up. I'm
fired up, too, to see how this Atlanta team gets run out by Tata Martino. We're about to find that out. Andrew Carleton is definitely in this lineup. What pressure is on Josef Martinez, given that he hasn't really performed as far as goals go in a while, and now he's in the lineup with Remedi, Nagbe, and Barco behind him?
Bobby and I have had this argument all year. Who's the actual MVP of Atlanta United? I think it's been Josef Martinez. He thinks it's been Almiron. Well, there's no question who the best player, who the guiding light on this team has to be this week. It's number 7. He's got to go out there and he's got to set the tone. He's got to get a couple of goals. He has got to, he's got to be the best player on the field. There's no question he has the ability to be. He hasn't shown it in a while, though.
I'll break the tie here. I'm going to go with Almiron for a lot of the reasons Bobby just outlined on the board. And Martinez does the business in the box as the final action, but he's not getting the same opportunities when Almiron's not on the field. So I think the pressure actually falls greatest today on Ezequiel Barco.
Yeah, the boat show.
Can he step up in the place of Almiron? He doesn't have the same qualities, the same work rate, but he has to bring something different to be able to, look, we know Nagbe is going to facilitate, but somebody that can actually make the final pass to get it to Martinez. You can't rely on Carleton to do that at this stage yet. The pressure has to fall on Barco.
You guys are so attack-focused. There's a glaring name, and Matt brought it up earlier. It's Jeff Larentowicz. He's missing. This isn't about the attack today, because the last time Atlanta United did this, the last time they played without a true defensive midfielder or 3 center backs, what happened? Opening day, they got crushed 4-0 by Houston Dynamo. This isn't about Barco. This isn't about the attackers. This is about Eric Remedi and Julian Gressel and one of them taking the defensive midfielder's responsibility. Do I need to show you the Diego Chará video again?
Nope. Stay seated. There's an elephant in the room for Atlanta as well, which is that Tata Martino could be leaving and that Tata Martino doesn't have a sparkling record domestically with clubs winning championships. Really just in Paraguay. That's really it. If he leaves after 2 incredible seasons, let's not take anything away from he does, but if he leaves and Almiron leaves and they haven't won anything, what does that mean? And how have they been able to avoid all the conversations in the media hubbub? This has to be distracting in some way.
That's the risk when you sign a manager of this magnitude, right, and this pedigree. We saw it with Patrick Vieira, we see it with Tata Martino, and as the league grows and you get better managers who are more attractive internationally, this is going to happen. But it also makes the pressure on these clubs to win now more important, which I think is a positive for MLS because, look, you might not have, you have to worry about players getting bought now, but you have to worry about managers leaving as well too. And I think this could be the biggest loss of them all because you can go find good players, but a big part of getting those big players from South America has been Tata Martino and his credibility to be able to go there. And this might be harder to replace than maybe a next young Argentine or Paraguayan player.
Nobody's going to pity Atlanta United.
What did you do, Weavy? What
Pity Martinez. If you're not watching the news, rumors out there they've spent millions and millions of dollars to bring in Almiron's replacement before they've even sold Almiron. So go check that out. Pity Martinez, River Plate, a really, really good player playing for a former MLSer in Marcelo Gallardo. Of course, some other games going on in the East, though, today, coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus, and ESPN, the Red Bulls and Philly. This is what I would call, guys, a playoff practice test. And this is what Chris Armas is running out today in his 11. We have Tyler Adams back in the team. It's a little bit, little change here, though, to make the Szatkowski go in.
We're trying to fix that.
Yeah,
that lineup.
There's no way
Tyler Adams is playing on the wing.
What's at stake for the Red Bulls?
I mean, it is potentially their third supporter shield in 6 seasons. They have to win to keep it at all realistic, I think. The other thing is, like, they rediscovered their identity a couple of weeks ago when they drilled Atlanta United, and they have to keep that going over the final 2 weeks of the season and bring it into the playoffs, because we all know the failures for the Red Bulls, they don't happen in March, April, May through October. They happen in November.
What Chris Armas would say is that the failures happened because they weren't fully ready for playoffs. They had one thing they did very well and nothing else. What Chris Armas has tried to do and say, we can press. Everyone knows we can press. Now let's see if we can defend a little deeper. Now let's see if we can build out of the back a little better. Let's see if we can pass in the final third. So everything Chris Armas has done in the 4 months he's taken over has been building toward the playoffs.
Absolutely.
All right, Chris Armas is 11. Tyler Adams is back. That's good news for U.S. national team fans. He'd had an issue with his back that kept him out of international. Did he? Szatkowski, Kaku, Alex Muil, BWP, Murillo on the right, Late on the left, and that center back pairing has been so good all season
where
long.
did you have Muil on your 22 under 22?
I did not have him because he's not under 22. All right, but he's a very effective player in this system.
He's been really good, and he's gonna. You know, when he's out there, he's gonna press everybody in his vicinity. This team can play through the press, though, and they keep showing it against the Red Bulls. They've met 2 times this year, 0-0 draw at Red Bull Arena, and then Philly beat them 2-1 in the Open Cup. They've had a lot of success against the Red Bulls under Jim Curtin.
The big thing about playing Red Bulls is just staying calm when they're kicking you, when they're pressing you. And they got the 2 most chill midfielders in the league. Haris Medunjanin and Boris Dockal, when they get on the ball, nothing phases them. Right? Medunjanin's going to get the ball with Kaku on his back. He's going to turn. He's going to play out. Listen, Philly might not win, but they are suited to play against this Red Bulls team.
This is going to be a great game. They're all going to be great games. You have 2 windows. 3 p.m. Eastern is the window in the Eastern Conference. 5 p.m. Eastern is the window out west. Atlanta, Chicago. That one's on ESPN. Out west, it is Minnesota and LA. We asked you who should win the MVP award. Here's how it counted up based on your hashtags. Zlatan in second. That's not where Zlatan belongs anywhere in life, is what Zlatan would say. Joseph Martinez right there. That's what happens when you score 30 goals. And Rooney and BWP trying to push their way in somehow into this conversation. Of course, today is very, very important. It might be as exciting as Decision Day presented by AT&T. That's coming up next Sunday. Pre-game coverage starts right here at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, MLS Matchday Central. And then the games start at 4:30. 11 games going down simultaneously. We will know at the end of that the seeding, who's in, who's out, the playoff field, who's playing on Halloween in the knockout round. I cannot wait for that. I think I'm going to be at Red Bull Arena, so I might get to see the Supporters Shield lifted, as you said, for the 3rd time in 6 years. But in the meantime, it's time for the games. DC, New York. Give me one prediction today, guys. A quick prediction. What are we going to see?
Trap game for DC. I think they come out flat, and NYCFC get a result.
Mine's very easy. Beast, you're going to be surprised by something. Something's going to be crazy today. Something's going to leave us with our breath taken away.
Cop out from Bobby Warshaw.
Galaxy continue their run. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, though. I think it's going to be a cold game, not a lot of goals. Galaxy continue, but I think it's a really tight game, actually.
All right, I think Atlanta United are going to lift the Supporter Shield today. Red Bulls in Philly, Atlanta at home against the Fire. It's a great matchup. We will see you here very, very soon, in about, 4.5 hours. Right after ESPN's coverage, right back here, MLS Matchday Central. We got interviews, analysis, playoff scenarios for you. Everything that you need to know after today's games. Wrap up. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know how to get at us. All right, it's time for the games, everybody. Head on over to ESPN, fire up ESPN Plus. Do whatever you got to do, and we will see you very, very soon. Enjoy the action.